Hello and good evening, I'm Melisa Idris. Welcome to The Future is Female. This is the show where we find the extraordinary in every woman. Now, nobody enters a marriage expecting it to end, but sometimes divorce happens. For many low-income Muslim women, post-divorce, the odds are stacked against them. Now, despite legal entitlements, many struggle to claim maintenance, fight legal battles for years, or face ex-husbands who ignore court orders. And the result of that is a cycle of poverty, stress, and financial vulnerability. So why is financial justice still so difficult to obtain for many divorced Muslim women, especially those from low-income families? Well, and the question we want to ask today is, what will it take to ensure that the rights granted in Islamic law will translate into real-life protections? Joining me on the show today to discuss this further, I have the good folks from Sisters in Islam, Dara Waheda, who is the Advocacy, Legal Services and Research Manager at Sisters in Islam, and Ameena Siddiqi, the Communications Manager of SIS. Now, Sisters in Islam recently collaborated with the support of the Embassy of Switzerland in Malaysia and IOI Foundation, conducted a study on the financial rights of low-income Muslim women post-divorce and the challenges they face within the Islamic family legal system in Selangor and the Federal Territory. We're here to discuss more on this report today. Welcome both of you to the show. Thank you for being with me.
Yeah, thank you, Melisa.
Ameena, Dara, can I ask you very quickly what prompted Sisters in Islam to conduct this study on the financial rights of low-income women post-divorce? Was there something in your work, in your observations, that showed a specific pattern of challenges that you noticed that perhaps you thought, hey, this issue really needs to be addressed further? Dara, may I begin with you?
Yes, thank you, Melisa. Sisters in Islam launched Talinisa, a free legal service initiative in 2003. And since then, Talinisa has assisted over 15,000 clients across Malaysia and internationally. In 2016, we began publishing annual statistics and findings to provide insights and on cases and trends. Common issues raised each year includes maintenance, complex and lengthy court procedure, financial difficulties, and this happens. These common issues happens every year.
Wow.
So this prompted us to initiate this survey to understand and analyze the challenges faced by these women in claiming financial rights post-divorce. So including issues related to maintenance, joint property or hartas pencarian, and post-divorce financial support.
Right. So there was a pattern that you noticed from Talinisa. Talinisa is Sisters in Islam's legal hotline, helpline.
Yeah.
Okay, so women can call and ask for legal help.
Yes.
In all areas. I see.
Not just women.
We have men.
Women and men.
Fantastic. Okay.
Recently, there have been more men calling us as well.
Wow, that's encouraging to hear that there's an openness to seek support and help. So, what do you think, Ameena, in terms of the patterns of these challenges? I understand that this is just Klang Wilayah Persekutuan and Selangor, but clearly, I'm sure that women across the country face similar challenges.
Okay, based on the survey results, I mean, although it is focused on KL and Federal Territories, Selangor, the thing is, we think it is repetitive across all the states. It's not just, the court system is similar in all the states. The processes is similar. So definitely these women would be going through similar issues. So we think this is a nationwide problem, not just a Selangor or Federal Territories issue. This is a nationwide issue that needs to be addressed, of course.
Well, hopefully today we're highlighting this issue that affects women across the country.
The reason why we focus in Selangor and Klang Valley, because in Kuala Lumpur, is because the Talinisa clients are mostly coming from this sample area.
Is it because they're more aware of the availability of this helpline?
Yes.
I see. Dara, can you maybe help me understand what what the financial rights of Muslim women are. What are Muslim women entitled to in the unfortunate event of a divorce?
Yeah. Firstly, is muta'ah. Muta'ah is consolatory gift to a divorced women who are being divorced without just cause. Secondly, is mas kahwin.
Mas kahwin?
Yes, mas kahwin. There are some cases that although they have been like married for 15 years, mas kahwin has not been paid.
Wow.
Yeah, this right to mas kahwin is not affected on dissolution of marriage. So if the mas kahwin has not been paid as at the divorce, then women have the right to claim it. Thirdly is the harta sepencarian, the joint property. So property jointly acquired during the subsistence of marriage.
Is that like a house or
yes,
like
house,
the house that they
the
bought
car,
together?
yes.
Okay.
And the fourth is IDA maintenance. During the waiting period when women are entitled to receive this maintenance. Okay. And fifth is child support, obviously.
Okay, so this is nafkah, right?
Yes, nafkah.
Can you talk to me a little bit about, so there's nafkah istri and nafkah anak. Is that right?
Nafkah istri and nafkah anak. Yes, nafkah istri or the IDA, you will cease to, the rights will cease to, the women to receive it cease when the IDA period ends.
Is over, yeah. I see.
But whereas for the child maintenance, it goes through up to 18 years.
Okay, until the child is 18
years old.
So when you did the survey, what did you find about how when these are women's rights, women are entitled to these financial rights, but what did you discover about whether or not they were able to claim their rights?
The first thing to remember is a very lengthy legal process. So most of the women felt that the legal process was just too long, so they gave up, or they just didn't apply for it, right? Secondly, the inconsistent court rulings. The court rulings are very inconsistent, so they felt that maybe it's not worth, to invest further, and they had difficulties in enforcing maintenance orders. So the issue is, first, do I go for this or not? And then after that, it's like, okay, so I've gone through all this hassle, paid this much money, gotten myself an order, but the order enforcement is in question, and it's quite difficult to get the order enforced, right? So many women, and this whole process, because it's so long, as some of them was up to 21 months, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it could take up more than 1 year.
Yes.
So it can be 2 years
almost
or so.
2 years.
21 months and 30 months.
30 months, so it can take years. So at the end of it, I get this order and I get all these things, but it's not enforced. So, and they hear these stories. Women, a lot of them, they get information, is word of mouth. So they hear these stories, they're like, I don't think I would rather move on. So they let go.
So one of the things that really struck me was that actually more women end up not claiming their financial rights than they do claim.
Yeah.
And it's because of all this, because they're deterred by the lengthy process.
Deterred, very deterred, because it is very complicated, convoluted process. It is not just a simple process like you go to court and you submit some forms. There's
even from me as a legal, a civil lawyer, I find it difficult to understand the process in Sharia law.
Because it's not made available? Like the knowledge or the know-how is not made available? Or is it just too many documents,
sometimes
too much bureaucracy?
We have the statute. Okay. Sometimes in the civil law, the statute are properly defined. So whereas in the Islamic enactment, sometimes words like ida are not spelled out in the, so we have to find somewhere else what it means.
Right.
So like hiwala, we had that lengthy discussion and a good laugh on what is hiwala. So if you as a normal person without a legal background, would you understand what the word
wouldn't know where to
hiwala
begin?
is? Yeah.
Also with the Arabic terms, you know, it's quite daunting, you know, all these terms.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but every state has their own Sharia jurisdiction, Sharia system as well. So the processes differ from state to state?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So
it's
probably
quite
the Sharia court are controlled by a single law, which is a federal law, but the process in the court itself
is every state.
Yeah, it's
this is a very
states.
I recognize my privilege when I say this, but isn't there legal help? Shouldn't there be legal help? Are there lawyers there to help navigate the Sharia system?
If you are wealthy enough, you can hire a lawyer.
Legal costs.
So legal costs, because you have to pay, I think minimum is like 3,000 ringgit just a file.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. Sharia court is not cheap. So where would these women be able to afford these lawyers? So, and if there is legal help provided as well, these women are not aware of it. Right. They don't know it exists.
So you have to pay a significant legal fee to be able to claim your financial rights, and there's no guarantee that you will receive
government have
help,
some sort of legal aid,
free legal aid, yes,
called Bagos. Okay. And the lawyer, they provide lawyers from the system. But then we had this client from Talinisa calling us, saying that her lawyer just dropped out because the government delays in paying the lawyer.
Oh, because it's a pro bono work. So it could be. I can see the gaps in the system clearly. There are barriers to justice for women, Muslim women in the Sharia system.
Yes.
Particularly if you are low income, if you're not equipped with the knowledge, you don't have help and support for, to take care of your kids while you go and fight lengthy legal battles.
If you feel that getting married is complicated, getting divorced is much more complicated.
And is that a deterrent for many women to stay in marriages? What did you find in terms of the patterns of divorce when you did your survey?
Divorce usually happens for women around the 13-year period.
That's a long.
Most of them
were
married for 13 years. Then only divorce happens. So, from my understanding, it would be they don't go for divorce so easily.
They don't take it lightly,
yes,
right?
It was
this is
something.
A long decision.
Yes, a very long decision. A lot of the time, remember, number one cause of divorce is infidelity.
Polygamy.
Infidelity first lah, and then polygamy is a bit lower. But also another reason, second or third reason, I think, is domestic violence. So some of these women have no choice. They need to get out because they are under a lot of, they are in an abusive system or family.
I would make the assumption that maybe after 13 years average of marriage, children are involved at this point in time. You mentioned a bit earlier that order enforcement is a challenge. Can we talk a little bit about that, the enforcement of court orders? So say a woman has gone through the lengthy court process and has been granted her financial rights for harta pencarian or for maintenance. And there are many ex-husbands who don't comply with court orders to provide financial support. What then happens? What enforcement mechanisms are available for the women? What recourse?
Look at this. Our most alarming finding was actually the high prevalence of non-compliance by the husbands.
High prevalence of non-compliance?
Yeah, by the spouses. They very high. They didn't provide child maintenance, and this actually contributed to the women to actually go below poverty level. They just couldn't manage, and they fell into economic vulnerabilities for the single mothers. So there is a very high prevalence of non-compliance. So Dara, you might want to explain.
Especially when you have already in 13 years of marriage and throughout the marriage you are a housewife.
Yes.
You don't have control of the household finances, right? So
when you go through this process of divorce, it will actually not only affecting the whole family, affecting your health, your mental health, and the children.
Why don't men pay?
Why don't men pay? You have to ask them.
Did the survey reveal any findings?
Well, we didn't interview the men.
Yeah.
But they have lots of excuses. They have a lot of excuses.
Okay.
One of them, like, I remember, which I quoted earlier, was a case where the husband didn't want to give the wife a house because he claimed he bought it way before the marriage, or all sorts of excuses, and they find leeways. And because the husbands tend to be wealthier and the main wage earner, they can afford lawyers, and they are somehow more knowledgeable, I guess, men, in terms of their rights.
Okay.
And sometimes women are not. A lot of the women in this category are housewives, so they have left the workforce or public spaces, public space for a long time.
So what happens if the ex-husband does not pay? Is there another court order? Can the wife go back to the court and fight more?
No, actually, the court can contempt the husband
so
for not
it's
paying.
considered contempt of court if you don't pay.
But this knowledge is not well versed among the
or enforced. Is it enforced? Are ex-husbands
it can
who
be
don't pay
enforced,
support?
but it takes cost.
It takes
I mean, filing for getting the orders is already a burden to them. So you have to file again to enforce it against the husband. So when actually this order of whatever contempt of not following the order or what can be given during when the court give or grant the maintenance order. So this is not done. So
it should be done concurrently, is it?
Yes.
And a lot of the women, because they are facing financial constraints. So to them, like even 50 ringgit to file the court order is a lot of money, because they have to make decisions such as, do I feed my child or do I pay this 50 ringgit to go to court? Or it's not 50 ringgit, actually it's 50 ringgit to file, but then you have cost of going there and childcare, which is expensive. So these women have to contend with a lot. So sometimes it's easier for them to give up and build a new life than to chase after this errant ex-husband.
Are there, policy interventions or system interventions that we can put in place to allow for more compliance of court orders?
Of course. We should introduce a new law to penalize husband who is defaulting on maintenance payment.
We should,
it will become obligatory for the husband to pay, rather than you just give maintenance and when the husband defaulted and you get the woman to apply.
Rather than making the onus on the woman, it should be. And the other thing is, the government could take the initiative to set up a child support agency.
What is a child
It's
support
a federal level child support agency that Sisters in Islam has been talking about for almost 20 years now. And
even
we've been proposing,
the government has been talking about it since 2010.
Yeah.
What would it be?
So it is a federal level, meaning it applies for all marriages, not just Muslim. This is based, actually, Australia already has this, and it really worked for them. It reduced the errant spouse, because in Australia it's not just from the father to pay, but any spouse.
Any spouse, okay.
So it worked very well, because what they do is they have this ability to deduct from your salary, go after you, like LHDN does, like block your passport,
We're very careful about our income tax.
Yes, because you can't travel, and then passports can't be issued. So there are various ways that this agency could have oversight, and this data is available, because like I said, LHDN has our data, EPF has our data for most of us. Our data is available to the government in many forms. So if they had the political will, they could actually create such an agency.
So a child support agency would ensure that child support maintenance is
Yes.
paid
Yeah.
from the errant parents,
Parents, yes.
to make sure that it's a continuous process.
Yes.
There's no, and that will protect the child, the
Yes.
welfare of the child at the end. Because what happens if maintenance is not paid? What have you observed based on the survey about how financial vulnerability for low-income Muslim women post-divorce impacts the family?
It is very, very disheartening because it is a generational issue. Because when a mother, for example, the mother is a primary caregiver and she is going through so much issues in terms of just putting food on the table for the children. The children are suffering. They can see their mothers. You're talking about 13-year marriage average, right? So the children are not babies at this stage. Maybe some are the younger, but the older children would be at least 10, 11, and they are seeing their mothers struggle for just basic food. Then education, one of the highest numbers the women complained about is they found it difficult to find money for the educational needs of their children. You know, like buying uniforms, like basic food. You know, in school you need to pay to food for canteen.
This is for normal schooling.
Normal schooling, not even private or anything. And about childcare, you know, so they face so many problems. And you also have to look at women who have to take care of children with special needs, medical, because these women are already in their 40s. They already have chronic diseases like diabetes and so on. Then they have to take care of children who are also special needs. Medical health is very expensive to them. You know, and sometimes even if you're talking, okay, government provides free, those clinics are quite far. And for special needs, you can't go to the normal government clinic. You have to go to the specialist government hospitals.
And mothers who are going through depression.
And then the mental
because
health.
they've suffered the breakdown of their marriage as well.
And then children also mentally suffer. Because they are suddenly put in this place where they're one story we heard that day during our forum, this lady said her child kept on asking, where's my dad? Where's my dad? And she kept on, at first she lied. She said, oh, he's gone off to work. He won't come, you know, later he'll come back. But you can give that excuse maybe a month or 2, 3 months, 4 months. Because some parents, fathers, they're not just errant in terms of not paying maintenance. They just disappear from the lives of their children. And this is a mental problem for the children. They start to become very difficult, you know, and
it's an abandonment of the child. Right?
And they start to act out in school. So a mom said, my child before this never had any issues in school, and now I have to go to every other day to see so she is compounded by so many issues. And sometimes I take my hat off to these women. They are extremely strong women because they have no choice. Actually, when we ask them, how do you find the strength? She said, I have no choice.
So the one thing that at least can help alleviate is to make sure that they get what they are the rights that they are entitled to, the financial rights they're entitled to. In the few minutes that we have left, can I ask you both? This is a really important report. What message would you like to give our audience watching today who may not have been thinking about what the rights are of the financial rights are of women, particularly those from low-income families? What would you like our audience to know today?
For me, I would just say to women, please learn, get the knowledge. Learn. Divorce, you may not think that you're going to get divorced when you get married, but it happens. So be equipped with the knowledge that you actually get your rights, what's due to you.
And to know our rights.
Know your rights, yes.
And for me, always have the umbrella before you enter whatever you do, right?
Sediakan payung sebelum
hujan. And before even getting married, equip yourself with knowledge. What are your rights in a marriage? What are your rights as a wife, as a mother, and if something happens to the marriage and you have to go through the divorce, you should know your rights post-divorce before you even enter the marriage institution.
So
educate yourself.
Educate yourself. Can I ask you how SIS or Sisters in Islam incorporates this as part of your work? You have a lot of educational material. You have the Talinisa helpline. You have your mobile legal clinic. Could you just tell very briefly how that might help an audience member watching today?
We organize mobile legal clinic probably once in a month. But before we organize the MLC, we call in short MLC, we would be engaging with the community leaders for the specific places. Sometimes we ask for it, or most of the time they will call us to have the mobile legal clinic in their place. So this community leader will provide us what are the issues that are prevalent in
that area.
in the area. So we will cater the training based on the topics that they want us. So lately they want us to teach or to have topics such as
child marriage.
Yeah, child marriage.
What's permissible, what's not, why it's illegal.
This one came from a bit outer KL, further down Klang Valley, right?
Yes.
And they said that one of the topics they wanted us to cover is child marriage.
They want to learn more about
because it's happening.
Because it's happening.
How to stop child marriage. How to
educate the mothers.
Yeah, how to
educate the mothers and
not to promote.
Not to promote
child marriage. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time. But that is an entirely different show.
Yes.
We can come back and talk about.
We should do that show.
Thank you so much for
thank you, Melisa,
for sharing this really
for inviting us.
Important report. I appreciate both of you.
Thank you very much.
That's all we have for you on this episode of The Future is Female. I'm Melisa Idris signing off for the evening. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.